Hey everyone, welcome to CresTV, your regular roundup of all things UC and AV. And we're going off piste today. It's not UC and AV, we're talking about gaming. Now, although I've got this gaming chair from the lovely friends at Corsair, I don't game. I'm not a gamer at all. But we're talking about esports today. So I'm going to be as green as everybody. I'm going to be learning from our partner over in New Jersey. Let's bring out our guests for today. Josh Kell from Horizon AVL. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Neil?
I'm very good. We've both got these funky chairs, although I think yours
Oh
gets
yeah,
more use in gaming
you got
than
to have the fun chair.
I know.
It's yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny. And again, your backdrop. Normally, we just get people with webcams on their laptop, and you've outdone me on your backdrop. We'll show it later when we bring you up full screen. But for the people like me that have no idea what esports is, because it's a big thing. It's a real great. I keep hearing about it all the time. What is esports? Talk us through that.
Yeah. So esports really, when it comes down to it, is competitive video games. It's where two teams or two individuals are playing together at the highest level of competition within the game, within strategy. And they play through seasons, tournaments, and then there's someone who's winning at the end. So that, by short, is esports.
And we were talking before I press record. It's not necessarily just sports games. They're not just playing Formula One or you would call it soccer. We would call it football. Kind of games. There's all sorts of different strategy games and things like that are bringing into this whole arena.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, there are dozens of titles, and there's a tournament and competition for pretty much every one of those titles. Everything from fighter games or simple fighter games like Super Smash on the Nintendo Switch, which is on console, to 5 players versus 5 players, team strategy, capturing the base, objectives, etc.
Okay, now this is, like I say, way out of my comfort zone. We normally talk about Microsoft Teams and Zoom and video conferencing and collaboration between this room and that room, and we'll put cameras in. Talk me through again. You see Horizon AVL. Sorry, what do? You supplying like the gaming systems? What's the Crestron angle here? Because
Yeah,
Crestron, we do control systems in AV. Why are you here?
yeah, sure. I often ask myself that same question. Why am I here? So Horizon AVL is our parent company. Esports Integration is our division dedicated to esports, to putting and building esports programs for our clients. And so we are a traditional AV integrator, and we do have typical verticals in the public sector or house of worship, corporate, government, etc. But really, esports integration is there to walk these schools through developing a program, and we look at it in a holistic. Yes, we do provide the hardware, but we are also providing really a solution at the end of the day that takes it beyond just the gaming part, and we're introducing basically a whole ecosystem
Right.
for all of our clients.
Okay, and we're going to talk about one client specifically. This is a case study that we've done together. So UNC Greensboro, I hope I pronounced that right. They're in Carolina, Northwest Carolina somewhere.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. There we go.
Sorry, North Carolina. North Carolina.
And this was an interesting one because again, this was pandemic time, so really challenging. I mean, obviously great because probably the campus was empty because everyone wasn't there. But from installation and a rollout of this system, it must have been huge challenges around this to get this thing deployed and get it set up. Talk us through, again, some of that installation part of the process.
Yeah, so really our process is kind of broken down into 2 parts. And part 1 is what we call our design phase, or we have an acronym here called a DSA, a Design Service Agreement. And basically, prior to the pandemic, we were walking UNC Greensboro through the process of what does this look like for a space, identifying the space, going through the construction, the facility, the electrical, HVAC, the network infrastructure, how it's going to look and feel aesthetically. And that's sort of part 1 to what the DSA looked like. And then we also got into the academic side of things and how does this align, which I know it's something that we're going to discuss, but that's really the process. Was step 1 was right. To really design the comprehensive layout, the function, all the hardware, how it's going to interact, what gamers are expecting, what competitions are you in, what leagues are you in, and that really is our, it's even a longer checklist than that. That's an abbreviated version of it, but that is our typical process.
And in layman's terms, obviously the Crestron angle with this is you've got a whole bunch of, really high power gaming PCs, consoles, DS, Nintendo DS and all the rest of it. And you need to get the video and control element from place X to place Y. And in gaming, latency is, everyone talks about, frame rates and refresh rates of monitors, and everyone wants 240 hertz monitors, and they've got these fancy, AMD and NVIDIA cards that do all these fancy resolutions and refresh rates. That's what we're talking about. And again, it's getting that content from place 1 to place 2 over IP, which is obviously where Crestron NVX comes in and really kind of harness this and help you to deploy this across the IP network.
That's exactly right. And I mean, just to kind of break it down a little bit more, the way that we view it, because we are dealing with competition and we're dealing with, very sensitive elements of latency and delay and things that can be introduced that a gamer is not accustomed to or used to because they're gaming, at home or in these environments. We actually separate what we do for streaming outside of what we do for content distribution within the space itself, right? So NVX being the protocol and the transport that we utilize to distribute the content throughout the space.
Right.
On the broadcast side, there's a lot of standardizations that we kind of go through that are a little bit different because we're utilizing like SMPTE 2110 standards. We're going through a lot of those things. And then we have certain converters that are in there that are touching the gaming machines that we vet through. We actually have our own rating and certification system internally that we go through with every piece of product. So if it meets a certain rating, and if it's for competition, basically it's like 90 and above, 90 to 100, that's geared towards competition. And then if we're looking at, well, you need distribution and there's some things that maybe the refresh rate it doesn't handle, but we can scale it out, then we kind of take that down to the next category and say, well, then we could utilize that for distribution. And that's how we categorize internally within our process.
And again, the MBX is obviously, pixel perfect, super low latency, and that's obviously
one
of the main
so
reasons
that's rating in our higher tier as far as deployment sake, how that works in the space.
Now, there's one thing, again, so again, I've learned obviously now about esports. I get that. But the one thing that kind of confuses me, because this is not the first university to put esports. We were talking about some others. Again, it's quite a big thing now. What I'm struggling with is, what are these people, are universities and students not working anymore? Are they just dossing around on games machines? I mean, my idea of going to university is
I'm creating a bunch
of lectures. Yeah, you're just
what am I doing?
It's all these people want to be YouTubers, want to be games people. Is it? So I mean, what is the university angle? Why are all these universities putting in these big esports rigs and setups? Talk us through what again where that's going, and again why there is this direction for universities and esports.
Yeah. So, especially when we're talking about universities, colleges, universities, even high schools, right? We're working with a lot of high schools. We've worked with over 100 colleges and universities across the U.S. In helping develop their program. The first thing that we actually talk about before anything is not even competitive gaming or video games itself. It's the 2025-2026 enrollment cliff that most of these universities and institutions are faced with. And so we talk actually about enrollment strategies and recruitment strategies. That's number one. And it's not just from a competitive side. And that's something that's very unique in our solution that we offer. A lot of my peers called me crazy for wanting to actually write curriculum, because what AV integrator writes curriculum? And so academically, the way that we've approached this is, yes, you're going to create a space for a competitive video game, but what are all of the industries wrapped around the esports industry itself? Right. And that is our drive and our focus. And that's where most of these institutions are looking towards, is what is that career development and how through the lens of esports, right? Esports is the vessel. That's all it is at the end of the day. It's this vehicle that allows a student to then learn skill sets to prepare them for the workforce. And right. So That really is the driving factor, and that does separate us. When you look at University of North Carolina Greensboro, it's a heavy focus on multimedia, mass communication, mass comm, broadcast, shoutcasting, streaming. I mean, they've hosted some serious events in there, some statewide tournaments, and some notable events. I mean, they've had Epic come in there for events, and have done some Fortnite tournaments, Rocket League tournaments. I mean, it's really a space that then gives an opportunity for these students to actually see how an event happens and how it functions, and it's not just the competitors. No different than traditional sports, right? When we look at football or soccer, depending on what side of the pond you're on, right? You see the players, but what is behind the players? You have multimedia rights, you've got broadcasting, you've got marketing. But in gaming, we have IT, cybersecurity, you've got coding, there's a lot of different elements that are getting that touch esports.
Yeah. That's amazing. So, and obviously the students might not necessarily be big gamers. They might just be really interested in coding or in, again, streaming or network security, and using this as a vehicle to be able to, flex their skills from an IT point of view that's not boring, finance or, again, corporate world. This is just a bit more funky and interesting that is going to allow them to, use all those skills that they're learning.
Yeah, that's correct. In fact, we have a really, really interesting statistic with our high school curriculum that 93% of our learners that are in our curriculum don't play competitively, right? So that means only 7% of the students that are enrolled in our courses are actually playing at a competitive level.
Right.
So that shows that they want to learn about the industry and all the supporting elements that are around the industry. So it's encouraging for us to say, then we're on the right track, right? We in the overall industry, in the AV industry, we've been struggling for a long time to find talented individuals and to hire and to find people that understand the audiovisual industry, and this is a great way for that to sort of happen. It's something that they enjoy, but through a LAN event or one of the events that we put on or they put on as part of the curriculum, they're learning signal flow. They're understanding how components are connected together. They understand what the difference is between SDI and baseband video, and what is a network and how does it function? What does that mean for the AV industry as well, right? The AV industry, when you're looking at products like NVX, you got to have a pretty good understanding of a network switch and it being a managed network switch, right? You're dealing with multicasting traffic flows. You're trying to set up VLANs. You're building all of these elements that exist in the networking world, but now it's crossed over to the AV world. And the AV world, are some adopt it, have adopted it well, but I still see a majority like not understanding, like, how do you get in the back end of a console of a network switch and then program that particular network switch? Because it's important to what we're doing now in the AV industry. So
yeah, it's interesting. You've led me on beautifully to my to one of my other points. Obviously, there's going to be our Crestron dealers that are watching this. Again, traditional AV dealers, they go out, deploy screens and NVX and DM and take HDMI signals from here to there and video walls and all that kind of stuff. Clearly, this is a whole different market with a whole different bunch of challenges. What would be your kind of top 3, top 5 tips for them? And then obviously, let's flip that on its head to the universities. What questions should they be asking to the AV dealers that then will help them to define, which route to go on this? Let's start with the partners first. Again, top 3, top 5 things to look at for an AV dealer that want to get into this space. What do they need to know and what questions should they ask?
Yeah, sure. So, first is understand gaming, be a gamer.
Right. Get a chair.
Get a chair. So you really need to understand the gaming community and the expectations of what gaming looks like, right? So, these individuals, I mean, I'm not at my height anymore. I'm in my 40s now, early 40s. But when I was playing somewhat competitively, it was very important that the machine itself was was not hindered by anything.
Hmm.
And so understanding the gaming community, the gaming landscape, and not looking at it as a traditional AV project itself, right? There needs some finesse to this. You need to handle it with white gloves, because you're messing with a competitor's hardware, their cleats, right? It's what they need to perform well. And if you don't understand it, and you're just going to look at it like a traditional AV project, you could be introducing things to the system that really can harm the outcome of a game.
Right.
And so that is number one. Really invest into the community as well. Do research. If you go into Netflix, there's some great series. There's one called 7 Days Out. I'm not endorsed by Netflix, so
other streaming platforms are available.
Not a sponsor, so but it's something really to understand the community. That is huge. And if you don't know, engage with someone who does. That's another tip. Just ask the question. Don't go into it just thinking, well, it seems like everything's going to be fine. And in the end term, it actually doesn't turn out to be favorable for the team. Hire someone that does have a gaming and an esports background. And here's something that I'll just put out there. If you're looking to hire someone and you don't know if it's authentic or not, just reach out to me and say, hey, does this person really know what they're talking about? What is their involvement? Because a lot of people they want to be in this industry. They want to be in the esports industry. But they don't have a resume deep enough to really push that through. I mean, I sit across the table from professionals and professional esports teams, and we work through all of these challenges. Not only we don't just sit down with just universities and colleges, but that professional level, because we kind of know where it's going, right? Where the progression is, and so if you don't have that pulse on the industry of where it's happening, really the true esports industry and the gaming industry, just I guess let me know.
We'll get your contact
I'd be
details
more
at the
than
end.
happy to.
Yeah, you're going to get a flood of emails probably.
Yeah, right. Are we putting my email on the end of this? I don't know. So
it's all good.
Hit me up on LinkedIn. Maybe that's a better way to do it.
And again, from a customer point of view, from a university point of view, again, what should they be thinking about? Again, if they're looking to put these curriculums on, they obviously want to add this capability to their campus, to their curriculum. Either universities or schools. Again, give them some hinters and pointers, other than to again reach out to you on LinkedIn.
Man, I'm gonna get a flood of stuff. But in all seriousness, with our education clients, whether it's K-12 or higher education, authentic esports. What does authentic esports look like? Especially from an academic perspective. Putting some PCs in a room and putting some RGB lights in there, that's cool and all. But at the end of the day, the students are the consumers. They know more about this than you think. And if they go in there and they look at it and they say, that's not really esports, because they'll start drilling you on stuff. Well, what leagues are you in? What competitions are you in? What's your record? How many championships have you won? What are the scholarship opportunities, etc. That is probably one of the biggest things for our university clients. The second thing to follow up would be, make sure it's industry focused. When you're building these spaces, not just competitive in nature. We have 3 C's that we talk about here at Esports Integration and Horizon AVL. It is first and foremost curriculum, thought of around curriculum. Then it's developing a community, and then it's competition. And when you have all 3 of those pillars, and University of North Carolina Greensboro is a perfect example of that. They went through our entire process. We actually identified curricular first, which should be done. And then we said, how is this going to affect the campus community, but also the community within the confines of Greensboro, North Carolina, but then also how does this affect the community of the state and then the community online? And so that really is a huge driving force when you're developing these spaces, and understanding that community is extremely key, just as important as as the curriculum and the industry perspective.
Fantastic. I feel I've learned so much just in the last sort of 20 minutes. I'm not going to become a gamer, but again, I am fascinated by, again, I'm passionate about the back end stuff. And again, that geeks me out. Again, the transport technology, playing games, too old for that. Where can people find out more information about Horizon AVL? We know we're going to hook you up on LinkedIn if they need you, but
Sure.
Horizon AVL, where can people find more details? You've got a website, presumably, you're a bit social out there?
We do. So horizonavl.com. And then also esportsintegration.com.
Okay.
Both of those, obviously, esports integration is dedicated to our esports side of things. So you can kind of take a look at some past projects and some of our clients and that sort of thing. And then LinkedIn, absolutely. If you follow on Twitter, I'm AVL Kell, Kell, AVL Kell.
Yeah.
So you can look me up on Twitter.
Awesome.
Or X. Twitter X.
Whatever it's called today. Awesome.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you ever so much for joining us here on CresTV. A fascinating conversation. Again, I love talking about stuff that's outside of my normal, meeting rooms and cameras, which are really cool and fascinating. But again, this is way outside of my wheelhouse, and it's always good to expand your view of what's going on in the industry. And a great use of those Crestron NVX products as well. It's not just video walls and, getting video from A and B. So thank you so much for that. I'll maybe hook up with you at a trade show if I'm over in the States at some point. So love to.
Yeah, we'll be at Infocom as we always are. So
we'll hopefully see you there. Josh, thank you ever so much for joining us on CresTV.
A pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you all for tuning into this episode. Esports, who knew that there was this whole world of people playing games, but also that there was a whole world of people that are in the background of this and again, creating these environments. And again, students that are learning about these technologies and capabilities. It's a huge, great market to go and explore. If you're a Crestron dealer, again, a great opportunity for you to go and diversify and try something new. Thanks for joining us. We do this every week. Join us here on CresTV. Subscribe, like, share, and all that good stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one.